I'm sure by now you have heard that Donald Trump has declared you have absolutely no power to, quote, reopen Connecticut. It's totally up to him. The president said his authority is total. Luckily, at least one White House reporter got it right and shouted out that's not true. But what was your reaction to the president telling this? And I won't drag you into the debate over it. I'm just going to let the audience know it's a complete lie. The president has no authority. He didn't shut anything down in Connecticut. But what is your reaction to the way the president spoke about it today?
These comments come and go. He loves us to run down these rabbit holes. We had a good meeting with the COVID task force, including Vice President Pence. He knows that all of the regional governors here in the Northeast are going to work together on a very collaborative way for a phased reopening based upon testing. We're going to open up our state. We're going to do it in the safest way possible.
Governor, you're teamed up with all your neighboring states, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, New York. New York has added to that team, New Jersey, Pennsylvania on the New York border, Delaware also agreeing to approach this, pardon the expression, but as a country would approach it, as we kind of expected the president to lead this kind of approach to it, because obviously what happens in New York, what happens in Rhode Island, Massachusetts, has a huge effect on Connecticut, so you can't make these decisions independently.
No, you can't. I mean, if I look at how the COVID pandemic hit Connecticut, came right up along the Metro North and I-95 from New York, going all the way through Fairfield County up to New Haven. That's the COVID corridor for Connecticut right now. And I cannot solve that unless Andrew Cuomo helps solve it in his side of the border as well. That's why we're thinking together in terms of where we want to do the molecular testing, where we do the antibody testing, how we share that data. And then we'll share that with the federal government so they can make the right decisions as well.
I just want to clarify for viewers, although you as the governor and Governor Cuomo and others had the authority to simply close down businesses and say no non-essential businesses are allowed to operate, when you relax that order, that doesn't actually mean that any private business has to reopen. So although you have the power to close them, you don't really have the power to open businesses.
No, but what we do is allow them to open, allow them to have more than 2 or 5 people in there. And I think they're clamoring for that opportunity, but nobody obligates them to open. You're absolutely right. If they feel unsafe, they want to stay closed longer, they can. What I care about is the public health. I just cannot have 100 people clamoring into a store next Thursday, because that's the second wave of a pandemic.